Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about what's been happening and what's to come in the civil fraud trial against the Trumps, the Trump Organization, and others going on now in New York. All right. So when we last visited this trial and the Trumps, it was Donald Trump Jr. beginning the defense with this general infomercial about his father, the visionary, and the crown jewel projects that have, launched him to the absolute pinnacle of real estate history and near godlike status in the real estate world, etc. So basically, information that had nothing to do with the charges. And in fact, kind of were rebutted by the charges because, well, how did this historic visionary lose so much money and the like? But basically, it was a non-event, and the judge just let it go rather than there were a lot of objections. This is irrelevant. This is hearsay, etc. And the judge, don't let him tell his story. Okay, so what's happened since then? We've had a couple experts who have one in real estate saying, man, it's crazy out there, and there are very broadly varying valuations of and they can be of very different magnitudes, etc. But did not go so far as to say that the crazily inflated valuations that are at issue in the trial of Trump's were accurate, which is the question here. Not to mention things like 30,000 foot apartment is different from a 10,000 foot, and that was a lie. But value, so it's a kind of a Wild West. And then also an accounting guy who said, there's more play in the joints of generally accepted accounting principles, and it's certainly fine as long as you use them to take the highest valuation. Again, what does that have to do with statements that are just false and flagrantly so? So unless they're implying that the play in the joint somehow make something true that otherwise would be false, it again seems to be a very limited relevance. But again, the judge let it go on. Okay, and now we come to today, this week, this sort of shortened Thanksgiving week, when we're going to have another, we're told, an insurance expert who presumably will talk about how things are valued for insurance purposes, because that's one of the things that the company is accused of, one of the ways they made misstatements. And then we have, and all of that I think is, everything to date has been basically all fluff or nothing. Next is coming Jeffrey McConney. He's testifying in the defense. He is a defendant in the case, and he was the controller of the company. He no longer is, and he was Alan Weisselberg's number 2 guy. He may know a few things, and his interests may not dovetail exactly with those of Trump and the Trump Organization, and he's there to represent himself. So there's at least potential for some interesting testimony there. That's the one. I think to date it's all the defense has all been more a lot of nothing, but this might have some interesting kernels there. Then the other drama that's ongoing is the gag order involving the Judge Engeron's law clerk. Has now been lifted because the Court of Appeal is going to consider it. So they've issued what they call an interim stay, so it's no longer on. And the Trump team filed a motion for mistrial based on the same thing, that this close law clerk Andrea Greenfield is A, biased, and B, a co-judge, and almost with pique, the judge denied the motion for mistrial, saying, you can use law clerks however you like. I'm the one who makes decisions here. And I don't think we'll hear from that again, except possibly on appeal, following an adverse verdict against them. So they're saying the estimates are that the trial could go almost till Christmas, after, with Trump's defense, and the AG will have a chance for rebuttal witnesses. My bet is no. My bet is it won't go that long. There's talk that maybe Eric Trump will testify again, maybe Donald Trump will testify again. In general, I see very little to be gained by their testimony, and they could be, open themselves to perjury charges. This case is going against them. They know it's going against them. And really the only issue is whether they can make some kind of issue for appeal after they lose. And this kind of testimony, the issue on appeal in terms of evidence is going to be, was there sufficient evidence that a reasonable finder of fact, and in this case, that's the judge, could have found against them? So, unless it really kind of gives a kernel of an actual issue on appeal, there's not a lot to be gained, and there is something to be lost. So I wouldn't be surprised, even though they said it'll, be a few weeks, if the defense case is shorter than that, and then a rebuttal case, which is only supposed to answer the defense case in chief, you can't sort of start all over again, would be commensurately shorter. So I think mid-December might be a closer estimate. Okay, so kind of a sleepy week here, or sleepy defense so far. Donald Trump says Daddy's a visionary, and experts say things that don't really begin to defend the statements that if they're false, they're false, and whatever kinds of principles and the like that wouldn't make them true. And then the McConney testimony could be interesting. Otherwise, I'm not sure what the defense can really do at this point. They are, really hurtling toward a verdict that I think will be very rough indeed on the individuals and the Trump organization, which, depending on how the early ruling of the judge, remember to strip the certificates of that the entities need to operate. If that's upheld, we're talking about pretty much the end of the Trump brand and organization in New York. And at the very least, we're talking about fraud's already been decided. All this will go up on appeal, of course, but we're talking about, at a minimum, a very substantial verdict in the hundreds of millions. There you have it. If you haven't tuned in a few days, you haven't missed much, and I think you can let it go till after Thanksgiving as well. But that's your update and preview on the Trump fraud trial. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.